This is how we do it.
This is how we do it.
La 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 la.
This is how we do it.
Okay, thank you for joining me back after a 1.5 year long hiatus. I am the IT Beast, and this is how we do it. I know I said I would be going over the OCS Management Agent after I created my next video, but I'm going to delay that because of a current project I'm currently working on right now. So anyways, we're going to cover something that's not exactly new, but it is still a very usable product, and that's Windows Home Server 2011. So anyways, I recently had to, in order to test things on my productional equipment at home, build a Windows Home Server 2011 virtual environment so I could test it first there before I screwed up my production environment. So anyways, I'm going to go over on this video the installation and initial configuration of Home Server 2011 and its variant, Windows Storage Server 2008 R2 Essentials. Basically the exact same product with just very slight differences, but for the installation goes, it's exactly the same. Alright, pretty much I've already gone over what the module covers. The installation of Home Server 2011 and Storage Server 2008 R2 Essentials. Alright, your requirements for your physical server. Now you're doing a physical load. The hardware is not that demanding, and it could be hardware that's probably within the last 8 years. So you should be good to go. Anything current, of course, you'll be gold. But you just need a basic single processor, a 1.4 gigahertz. Dual core is highly recommended. Now, where it says max, and the reason why I'm putting these max limitations on there is because Home Server 2011 is based off of the Windows Server 2008 R2 code, and the edition of it was based on was the Foundation Edition. The Foundation Edition had, how should I say, handicapped limits. It was sort of like the poor man's version of the full product. But anyways, it still does an excellent job. You can still do a lot of things with it. But there are limits to it. So that's the reason why I'm putting these max figures on here as well. So if you can get a dual, better would be dual core or higher would be recommended. You know, anything higher than that would be awesome. You can only use a single processor and up to 8 cores. So if you have a machine that has 2 processors, it's only going to see 1, and you have more than 8 cores, it's only going to see 8 cores. So just giving you a heads up on that. As far as the RAM, it recommends 2 gigs, but honestly, 4 would be better if you can possibly do it. And then the max RAM you can put in there is 8. Hard drive, you need at least to have 160 gig hard drive. It will not, by default, unless you circumvent it, but I'm not going to go over that one part today. You need a minimum of 160 gig. If it's anything lower than that, Server 2011 or Storage Server 2008 will not install. And then the max the partitions can be on the hard drive are 2 terabytes. However, if you have UEFI hard drive with UEFI supported hardware, that can be circumvented to where it can go beyond 2 terabytes. But I'm not going to cover that in this lesson today. Video card, this is a server, basic video card will do. Even what I listed there is probably more than you'll ever need. And of course, you'll need either a DVD-ROM or the flash drive for the installation media. And you'll need, if you're doing a flash drive, you'll need to have at least 8 gigs. It goes slightly over 4, but they don't make flash drives any between 4 and 8. There's nothing in between that. Alright, so if you're going to do a virtual machine, the host is going to have its requirements too. And they'll probably be slightly higher if you were to put it on a physical machine just because it's going to be the host. So anyways, it has to be 64-bit compatible. Intel or AMD equivalent dual-core processor minimum, I would definitely go with a quad-core. 4 gigs of RAM for the host hardware. You'd probably want to go more like 6 or 8 just to have a little breathing room. Hard drive, you could do 250. You could probably do a little less than that, but then you're not really leaving more for other functions of your computer. So more is recommended. And the video card, again, if it's just you're doing basic virtuals, you don't care about the video quality as much, you can just use an integrated video card. Now, the recommended virtual machine, and what I'm listing here are only the free versions. There's tons of virtual software out there you can get. The two most popular, though, being Vmware Player and Oracle VirtualBox. The two versions I have listed there will work for what we need to do, but of course, the current version is recommended, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get your hands on it. Okay, the prerequisites needed for this lab demonstration. The only other thing you'll need other than the box or the virtual machine itself is if you're doing a physical install, you will need to have your box connected to at least a switch or a router. Because if you don't, what will happen is the installation will stop because it needs a network connectivity because of the scripts they got running in the background. So you have to at least plug it into that. You don't have to have it on the internet, but you do have to have like a switch or a router for it to think it's on a network. Same thing if you're doing a VM, it's got to be connected to a VM switch, which is easy. Just leave your NIC port open to the default virtual switch you have going on. It won't make a big deal out of anything, so just make sure you have those things in place. If not, again, the installation will stop. Okay, as far as internet connection, it is optional during the install. As stated above, you just need the pieces I mentioned. However, after the install, it is highly recommended, especially the fact if you want to remote desktop into other places, to have the internet. But during the install, it is completely optional. Alright, let's go on to the desktop and start the demonstration. Okay, so we're out on the desktop now, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my virtual Vmware Player. Now, what I'm about to show you can also be done on a physical box. You don't have to do this virtually. I'm just showing it for ease of use. Now, it's rather pretty simple. So we're going to create a new virtual machine. Now, again, you can also download Vmware Player for free at the Vmware Player website, or the Vmware website. You can go and just download this for free. It's one of the easier ones to do. There's also VirtualBox, but we're going to use Vmware Player just because of the easy use. So, alright, we're going to start out. It says, right now, default, I will install the operating system later. Go ahead and make sure you check that. Then you're going to hit Next. Okay, so we have the different varieties of OSs out there. Microsoft, Linux, Novell, Solaris. And then we have other, we're not going to mess with it. We're going to go to Microsoft Windows. I have a slightly version older player playing right now because I have Workstation 10. So it won't show the Windows 10 option on here. However, we're not going to need that for today. So right now you're going to click on, there's not going to be any Windows Home Server 2011 option because, as I explained in the beginning, it is based off the 2008 R2 code. You're just going to select this. Or you could even select Windows Server 2008 x64. But for our purposes, we'll just go ahead and click on this. And then we're going to hit Next. Alright, so now we're going to name this virtual machine. We'll just go WHS 2011 test. Alright. Now, if you're not happy with where your location with the machine is, I already have it set for a default, so this is okay with me. But if you're not, make sure you click on Browse. And then you just go down to wherever you want your VMware Player, your virtual machine to be stored at. We'll hit Next. Okay. The minimum requirements, as I said, for Windows Home Server 2011 is 160 gigabytes. If you look out there, there is a way of bypassing this if you want to go smaller, but we're not going to cover that today. We're just going to go over the basic installation. So it's 160 normally. I'm going to go ahead and just for laughing and giggles give it 250. And for ease of use, it's easier to store as one virtual single disk. It stays in one file for the hard drive part. You can do it in multiple images where it would be like a 2 gigabyte limit and then it splits it off into another one, but it's just a lot of work to keep up with. So I normally just go with store virtual disk as a single file. Alright, so now it's going to give you the settings you currently have it this at. But we're not going to be done there. We're going to go ahead and customize the hardware. Alright, so for processors, since this is based off 2008 R2 Foundation Edition of 2008 R2, it only has a one physical processor limit, so it doesn't really matter here anyways. But for laugh and giggles, they allow you up to 8 cores. We're just going to do 4 on Foundation, which Windows Home Server 2011 is based on. We're going to go to the CD and we're going to use an image file. We're not going to actually use CD, DVD. You can. It's your choice if you want to burn it to a CD, DVD, whatever rocks your world. But in this case, we're going to go ahead. We're going to browse Windows Home Server 2011. Make sure you get the actual install disk. This is just for the clients if you have to ever restore any of your clients with Windows Home Server. And click on Open. Alright, we can leave the sound card. We can leave the display. Now there should be, yes. Honestly, you can leave it at 2 gig. But for laughs and purposes, we're going to go ahead and give it maybe a couple more. My machine can afford it, thank God. But if you have limited resources and you can leave it at 2 gig, that'll be fine. But for my demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and up it to the 4 gig. As far as network adapter, we're going to go ahead and hit bridge for right now, but that's going to change when we assign it an IP address because I'm not going to have it on my normal network. I'm going to have it in a virtual network. This being a server, you got to make sure you assign it a static IP. So we'll hit close because we should be done. So we have our memory at 4. We have 4, not cores, but 4 threads. Network adapter, we're going to change again to bridge. Once I hit close, it'll go to that. USB controller, we can leave there for right now. You can also take it out. You can also take the sound cartridges. Really, once you've actually built it, especially if it's a physical machine, you're never going to use it. It's going to be remote desktop the whole time you use this thing. Hit close. So let's look over our settings again. Now, it's going to be in version Workstation 10 because it's based off of Player 6, and Player 6 is based off of Workstation 10. So that's the version of the virtual hard drive you're going to have. There's nothing you can do about that because it's a free player. If you're using like VMware Workstation, then you have more control over what you put there. 250 gigs of hard disk. Again, we were just showing the setup and doing a few basic things. The network adapter is going to be bridged. And other devices, you're going to have 4 cores. We're going to have the CD DVD, which is going to boot off the ISO of the 2011 install disk. And the usual suspects. We'll hit finish. Okay, as you see, it's good to go for right now. We're going to go ahead and start to play on the virtual machine. And it should start booting up. And then what I want to do is I'm going to blow this up. A few things you want to take into consideration before starting this, especially on a physical machine. You want to make sure that if you have any other drives currently connected to it, if this is like you're reloading the OS, or if you have other drives with data on it that you're going to use on it, make sure they are not connected, because by default the installer will choose randomly the drive it wants to install on. Normally it is disk 0. I have seen it go besides disk 0. So as a safety precaution, if this is going on a physical machine, make sure you unplug your internal hard drives or your USB external drives. So in this case, we're doing a new installation. You just click it once. Alright, so as you can see, disk 0, 250 gig, because we only did the one drive. Again, if you have other drives plugged into it, it will show you all of them, but it's only going to load on disk 0. There's nothing you can do to change that. You should never have to click load drivers, especially if you're using just like SATA or even old nostalgic IDE. So you shouldn't have to worry about that. You have to click on the box. Of course, you understand, because of Microsoft way, they got to tell you like 20 times before you destroy stuff. So I understand if I click install, files folder, primary hard drive will be deleted. Okay, that's why I covered what I said earlier. So hit install. And that's pretty much about it. So just give you a quick synopsis. What's going to happen next is it's going to install the basic Windows 2008 R2 and then the Essentials add-on. This shouldn't take too long for it to restart. Alright, so it just got through rebooting again, and now it's going through and setting up all the hardware, putting in the drivers. Now, if this is a physical machine, you'll end up having to put the drivers in, of course, yourself. Depending if it's a newer machine, then say 2011, if it's like 2013, 14, 15, whatever, you'll have to load the necessary drivers like the video card, sound, the usual. But if you're doing a VM like what we're doing here now, that won't be a problem. Okay, it's now going to the 2008 server for the first time. Even though it shows Windows Home Server 2011, it's not quite there yet. They haven't installed that part of it yet, just the base OS. So they're going to do nothing here because it'll automatically start it itself. And it will now continue the installation. At this point, what it's doing is it's installing the actual home server individual, which of course nowadays is the Essentials role for server, Microsoft Server. Alright, so we're at the prompt screen where it gives us, country or region, time and courtesy, keyboard layout. But we'll just go ahead and click next. Alright, verify your time and date. Make sure it is correct. If not, come here and just change system time and date. You can go ahead and do so. If you want to make other changes, you can. Internet time, you can change to your own time server if you want, but for most, it's basically everything's going to be default. But if you did, click Internet time, change time setting, and put in your NTP server. But again, you're not going to need that. It's default. Just go with the default options for most installs. Click next. All right, this is where Bill wants to make sure he's getting paid. So unfortunately, you have to click I accept the license terms or you won't be able to use it. So we'll go ahead and click next. Well, click the checkbox first and then click next. All right, so we're at the product key part. Now, one thing I loved about the old 2008 R2 and Windows 7 OS is that unlike starting with Windows 8 in 2012, you do not have to activate it right up front. You don't even have to put in a product key if you don't want. You could wait to 30 days and you can actually reset the 30-day evaluation if you want to, like a total of 3 times. So for right now, we're going to uncheck this. And this all can be put in later. You don't have to do it now. So don't feel like, oh my God, I'll never be able to do it again. You will be able to do it again. Now you're going to get this wonderful personalize your server. So you can go ahead and change the name of your server, put the password, you'll confirm your password. However, there is another step if you want to do this, and if you want to personalize your server more, you'll probably want to do this. So what happens is once you click next, whatever name for the server or the work group you have, this is the permanent name, period, for as long as you keep this version of your server, unless you have to reinstall, and is not changeable at all. So if you do want to change the work group, because I'm old school, I like having a work group, like having a name for the work group. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on the bar right here, because we're in the VM, and we are going to click Shift F10. Now that's going to bring up your command prompt, and in it you're going to type 2 words: Control System. 2 separate words, by the way, not one. So anyways, Control System, then hit Enter. Alright, so you're going to get the system properties like if you would if you were clicking on Windows 7's properties or whatnot, or even 2008 R2. And here's where you can change the workgroup name, because if you don't do this here, you're not going to be able to do it. You can put it in a description now, or you can put it in later, totally up to you. So we're going to go ahead and after change settings, which I just clicked, we're going to hit change to rename this computer. We are going to change the workgroup name. And you can enter anything you want. It can be the devil, whatever. I'm going to put this in because I have other plans with this VM when I'm done. Click OK. And just like normal, it's going to come up and tell you that welcome to the new group, and click OK. Now it's telling you that you must restart your computer to apply these changes. Do not do that. So you're going to click OK on this box. You're going to click Close, and where it says Restart Now, do not click Restart Now. You'll click Restart Later. And then you're going to close yourself out of this box. So just click on that. Click on the other box to get rid of that, and you're now back in the personalization of your server. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change the name of the server. And I'm just going to call this VM. Again, whatever name you feel like it. Put in your password. It has to be a minimum of 7 characters. It's pretty lax on this version of Windows. And the password hint, I usually just put NA. You can put a password hint if you want. And then you're going to click Next. Alright. Go ahead, and if you're especially hooked up on the internet, go ahead and click on this option for right now. Use recommended settings. because after it's done loading the second half of the Essentials part of your Windows Home Server, it will then go out and search for updates. This is going to be about 30 minutes, so no one wants to hear me go on for 30 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and pause this temporarily. Alright, so it is now done. Now, since I stopped it earlier on, just to let you know, it will reboot multiple times. It must reboot at least 6 or 7 times for me. And the grand total in time, it will be probably closer to 2 hours from beginning to end, so it will take a while. Alright, let's go over a few things first. If this is a physical machine, you're pretty much done, unless, of course, you need to install the needed drivers like, say, your video driver or so forth. The network driver for your NIC card will probably have had to been actually done in the middle of the install if it didn't recognize the NIC card, so that's probably already been done. Now, the reason why we have this particular desktop background now is because we're technically on the physical box in a virtual machine. So, however, what it's saying is that you should be doing this remotely and not doing it at the physical box. It really doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and change this real quick. Just a couple more things and then we can wrap this up. Alright, so for right now we're just going to give it the Windows 7 theme. We can find a 2011 theme later on. So yeah, we'll go give it a 2008 R2. There's different desktops you can change it to later. No big deal. But there's just one or two things we need to do that's left. And one of them is to install, if it's a VM, your desktop tools. So you'll click on Player, go to Manage, and you're going to click this little guy right here, Install VMware Tools. And what is going to happen is the ISO you had your installer in is going to now switch over to the ISO for the tools. As you can see, it popped right up. So we're going to click checkbox this and run setup 64. And then we'll install those VMware tools. If you're new to VMware as a whole, what the VMware tools does, it gives basically all the heightened drivers and graphics and sound of a normal desktop. It makes it a lot easier if you're on your own, say, host machine and you're just wanting to look at it better, listen to a better sound. It just really heightens the experience with the virtual machine. If you don't, it just gives you the, like you see now, the basic set of virtual drivers. So we're going to go ahead and do a complete. We're going to install all the features. Hit install. This shouldn't take too long, and when it's done, you're going to have to reboot your virtual machine. And then you'll see it at its full height and glory. So like for instance, this is a 24-inch monitor. I have it on full screen right now. When I'm done, when it reboots, then it should go automatically to the full screen as far as for the display. And it may even do it sooner than that. So, but either way, it's going to make you reboot it as soon as you click finish. So we'll go ahead and click yes. And then when we're done here, we're going to do the last part of this, and then we'll be done for the time being. So as you can see, Control-Delete. So since we're in a VM, it'll be Control-Alt and Insert. Okay, where it says Administrator, you'll put in the password that you put in at the beginning of the installation when it prompted you. And you will log right the heck in. Alright, so it went back to a smaller screen. That's fine. Just like any other normal computer, you just hit right click, since it's a 2008 R2 based operating system. Hit personalize. Alright, click on display. Adjust resolution. So you're going to go ahead and choose whatever you want it to support. In this case, we'll just go ahead and do the 1920 by 1080. We'll hit apply. There we go. Keep the changes. Click OK. And we'll close that box. Alright, so now that we've installed the tools, and I'll make sure the customize is on default so you can see the little box in the corner right there. Again, this will make it a lot easier for you. It'll be just like if you won't even know you're on a virtual machine. You'll think on another physical machine. If this was actually running Windows 7, you would also see the actual glass arrow effect here. But since it's server-based, they don't have that. So now the last thing I want to show you is changing the from DHCP to static on your NIC card. So you're going to click right here where the monitor symbol is. You'll do a right click. You'll hit this Open Network and Sharing Center, and this box will come up. You will then click where it says Change Adapter Settings. Alright, see, here's your NIC card. And what's nice about VMs, if you want more than one NIC card, you can actually put a couple in there, even on Player. Alright, we're not going to be using IPv6, so you can uncheck that. Right where it says IPv4, we're going to click Highlight and click Properties. And then you're going to put in your static IP address. So depending on your home setup, or if you're doing like what I'm going to be using this for, some testing, you can set up a virtual private network, which is what I'm setting this up for. And you can put in like the normal 192.168.121, same as before. You can have your gateway be .1. And if you're running a DNS server, go ahead and put that there as well, or it's not going to know what to talk to. Most times it's just going to be the gateway, so you'll repeat that. Okay, so then you're going to go ahead and put in the DNS server. Again, it can be the gateway, or if you have an actual DNS running on your network, go ahead and put that in. And then you'll click OK. In this case, I'm not going to do it right now because I'm going to be doing some other things with it. Again, before you completely take it off of the internet, if you're going to put it on like your own private network, which you're not going to have like a way of updating it, make sure you do so beforehand. Just go to Start, your All Programs, and in home servers, like again 2008 R2, just click on Windows Update and just keep clicking it until you're done. So you can see all this that need to be updated. And then you also want to do the get updates for Microsoft Office products. Find out more. You'll click on that. Of course, it wants to use Internet Explorer. I mean, that's what the whole world uses, right? Not anymore. So we'll go ahead and set this up real quick. Just do the Express so I can get this done and over with. Alright. Go click I agree. Alright, one more thing I want to show you before we close this up. Alright, go back to the Microsoft site. Make sure you click on Install. And we'll now start to search with everything that it just showed you, plus all the actual product updates. And you want to keep updating it. It may take hours and hours and even up to a day to get it all done, since this is, unfortunately, now an old operating system. Granted, support for this 2011 server is no longer support as far as the home server end of it, April of 2016, but the OS itself will be supported till January 2020. So you still have just shy of 4 years left that you'll still get updates for this. So even though it says, oh, it's going to end in 2016, no, you really got till January 2020. Now let me show you how to get rid of that annoying option about making sure you enter into... See, what they've done with server edition starting with 2003, they have it so only certain websites will remember and allow you to go to. It's a real pain in the butt. So right-click on Computer and hit Manage. Come down to this second box where it says Security Information. Click on Configure IE Security, and you're going to click Off to Both. And if you do not do that, I'm telling you, it's going to be a real pain to use your internet browser. And we'll click out, and you don't have to worry about that anymore either. Okay, so if this is a real server, what you want to do now is shut it down and replug in all your hard drives that you unplugged. Hopefully that you unplugged before you did the install. But again, if you only had the one, you didn't really care, I guess you don't have to do that. So I want to, again, thank you for joining me on my show. This is how I do it. I am the IT Beast. Hopefully I will be coming out with a few more of these in the next couple weeks. I know I've been bad this last year and a half, but it has been a very interesting year and a half for me. So thank you very much for your love and support. And if you like this, click subscribe, and I hope to see you back for the next episode. Thank you.